am Czarina Musni, and I am a lawyer from the Philippines. I am a member of the National Union of People's Lawyers and the Union of People's Lawyers in Mindanao. Both are associations of lawyers, law students, and paralegals committed to the defense and promotion of the people's political, civil, social, economic, and cultural rights. As organizations and as members of these organizations, we provide free legal services to the marginalized and oppressed sectors of the Philippine society in the defense of their rights. No? And when we say free legal assistance, we provide them legal services in court or even outside in court to discuss and explain to them the legal matters affecting them. And when we say oppressed and marginalized sectors of Philippine society, we mean the disadvantaged sectors. And by the disadvantaged sectors, we have the farmers, the indigenous peoples, the fisher folks, the women, the youth, the urban poor, the political detainees. All these sectors we help, we assist so that they be able to exercise or to enjoy their basic human rights. But the problem in the Philippines now is we face this phenomenon of red tagging, whereby any person who defends, who promotes, or anything that talks about human rights is red tagged, they are being labeled as a part or a member or supporter of the Communist Party of the Philippines and its armed wing, the New People's Army, which is designated by the Philippine government as a terrorist organizations. So, in short, when you are a human rights defender and you are red tagged, it is equal to becoming a terrorist yourself. And in the Philippines, of course, a terrorist is considered as an enemy of the state. So that, in short, human rights defender, red tagged as part of the Communist Party of the Philippines, then you are a terrorist and then you are an enemy of the state. So the red tagging lays the foundation for further attacks against the person being red tagged. Not just for surveillance, but attacks in all forms, such as being subjected to false and fabricated criminal charges. And by these criminal charges, we mean not just petty crimes, no? These are charges of multiple murder, serious illegal kidnapping, arson, robbery with violence against persons. All these heinous and non-bailable offenses filed against human rights defenders so that they will languish in jail. If you are not charged with false and fabricated criminal charge, the worst could happen to you, summary execution. And we see these are not just allegations based on empty words. No, we see this in incidents, we see them in history, we see them with our colleagues. So these are not just false allegations. These are not just empty words, as I said. These are based on true events happening in the Philippines. And this red tagging affects not just our clients who are being red tagged, but also us, their lawyers as well. Why? Because our clients, being farmers, who push for genuine agrarian reform, or our clients being indigenous peoples who want to protect their ancestral domains against mining concessions, against the construction of the dams, or with our clients as urban poor who demand quality and decent housing in the cities. All these demands, our clients are considered terrorists. And when we defend them in court or outside in court, we are labeled as lawyers for the terrorists, if not terrorists ourselves. So among our ranks as lawyers, we have also seen our colleagues being subjected to false and criminal charges. Our president, our chairperson, Nery Colmenares himself, was subjected to a criminal charge of serious illegal kidnapping. A member of the UPLM in Mindanao was charged with murder, arson, and robbery. So all these we see as attacks against lawyers, but not just these. No, our colleagues were also subjected to summary executions. In 2018, Attorney Benjamin Ramos was killed. 2019, Attorney Antonio Trinidad was killed. 2021, Attorney Angelo Carlo Guillen was stabbed in the neck with a screwdriver. All these instances, before their attacks, they were heavily, intensely red tagged. And we know when you are red tagged because you see your face, you see your names on tarpaulins, on leaflets distributed all around the cities that you operate. So you know that you are being targeted. In my case, my red tagging was through leaflets and tarpaulins hung around. And worse, a poster was pasted on the fence of our home. So they know that where we live, this is our sanctuary. So it's like, hey, Czarina, we're watching you. So it's a particular attempt already. So we see these red tagging as an attack against the personal life and security of the subjects of the red tag. But insofar as lawyers are concerned, this red tagging affects not only our personal lives, but also the practice of our profession. Because the repercussions of red tagging is that lawyers are afraid to take on human rights cases because of fear of being red tagged, because of fear of being subjected to false and criminal charges, fear of being killed, of course, no? Who would want to be killed? This is a beautiful life. You would want to live as long as you can, enjoy it as much as you can, but fulfilling your purpose in life. But with the red tagging of lawyers, with the red tagging of human rights defenders, it silences it. It sends a chilling effect not to talk about human rights defenders, not to defend human rights defenders themselves in court, to silence. So this red tagging is meant to crush the human rights movement, to silence dissent, to silence critics. So as lawyers, this red tagging affects the practice of our profession, violates the rule of law, violates the role of lawyers in society. Under the United Nations basic principles on the role of lawyers, the governments should be able to protect the lawyers in the practice of their profession without hindrance, without any intimidation or threat of prosecution. But in the Philippines, we don't see this. With the many petitions for protection that we have filed, with the statements that we have provided to the media, petitions for amparo with the Supreme Court, still, we see our members being red tagged, our clients being jailed. So this particularly affects the practice of our profession. And it's the effect is that lawyers would not want to take on human rights charges, human rights cases. But then the charges keep on coming. So what happens? It's dwindling. The number of human rights defenders are dwindling, because they are all in jail, languishing. And you see that the court processes take too long, because judges also fear of deciding for the human rights defenders, because they too might get killed, might get red tagged as well. So it's a vicious cycle. So in the end, it is the people's right to legal access that is also being affected. So it's a crazy phenomenon affecting everyone. Everyone talking about human rights defense demonizes the human rights movement. It seems that if you're a human rights defender in the Philippines, you're a part of the opposition, you're an enemy of the state, you're part of the noisy crowd. But this is what we do. This is what human rights movement is for. We have to stand up. We have to speak up for the promotion and defense of our human rights, because our human rights, these are the rights that make life worth living. We have to fight for it to the death.
Yes. How about the fact of being a woman?
Yes, somehow it affects being a woman has its own risks, as being a human rights defender. People would say, hey, you're a woman, what are you doing out here in the streets protesting? You should be at home. Who takes care of your children? Who takes care of the home? You should be doing household work. This is not a place for a woman. But no, everyone should be involved in human rights movement. Women, men, the youth, LGBT, everyone should be involved, because this is not what we're fighting for. It's not just for women, not just for fathers, not just for the youth. It's for everyone, todos. So everybody should be involved. So, but being a woman human rights defender, in my case, in my experience, it is a plus. It is a positive effect, because as a woman you have a different perspective. you have a different charm as a woman defender, no? So somehow, we take things on a positive light. As in all things, there are positive and negative, but we try to focus on the positive. So, being a woman is also a woman human rights defender is also a positive thing. So, yeah. Before coming to Spain under this program, for which I'm very grateful, I was invited to apply for the Shelter City program that is sponsored by Justice and Peace Netherlands. So the Shelter City program provides temporary relocation for human rights defenders at risk for a 3-month period in the Netherlands. And for that 3-month period, it is supposed to give relaxation and further trainings to human rights defenders at risk. So I was there. I applied for and was qualified through also the recommendation of Lawyers for Lawyers, which is a partner of the NUPL. So with that, I was able to qualify for the program. And I was supposed to be there from September 2020 to December 2020 for 3 months. But at that time, before leaving, the risks were already building up. So we thought that, hey, why not we try? If we got accepted, why not? It's a good opportunity. It's also a good time to take a break for a while, no? So then I applied, and I was lucky enough to be accepted into the program. So I went to the Netherlands in September. But during the program, I already knew somehow that the risks were not getting any less, no? But then on December 2020, when we were already about to return or planning my return, we received another red tagging leaflet, and this one was particularly focused on me. And these leaflets were distributed near our home in Cagayan de Oro City. And mind you, this was distributed on the occasion of the International Human Rights Day. What a phenomenon! Wow, what a coincidence, no? So they left it, and this set of leaflets was very intricately planned, because the leaflets, there were 3, and they were wrapped inside a plastic bag so that it won't get wet when it rains, because at that time the forecast was raining. So it was particularly designed to stay there, to be noticed by anyone, because it was just there wrapped in plastic bags, so you would naturally notice it, no? And when we saw it, yes, it were leaflets red tagging me, and particularly it featured a photo of myself with a volunteer of the Shelter City in Netherlands, and it mentioned like Czarina Musni, the lawyer terrorist, is now in the Netherlands under a training with an international network of communists. So it's so then there was an added risk. But what that leaflet provided, much more, was the fact that what I am saying here is true, is happening. So I presented it to Justice and Peace. I presented it to Agencia Catalana when I learned that there was this opening, no? And then I let them see that indeed this red tagging is true, and this red tagging is false, no? It's just public vilification with no evidence at all. Because I was in the Netherlands, but it wasn't for an international network of communists. It's just what they say to demonize, no? To demonize the human rights movement in the Philippines and all those who are helping as communists, as terrorists, as enemies of the state. So because of that incident, there was an evaluation of my risk, and so I was recommended to apply for this program in Spain because it was seen unsafe for me to return as yet. So this opening for the protection program I applied for, and I'm forever grateful that I was accepted to this program, and so it gives me some more time to assess the risk, especially now that it's not getting any better in the Philippines, no. But it also, at the same time, I see this as a positive thing, being here, because it is a very strategic and political position that I occupy, that I have. With me being here in Europe, I have access to speak to a lot of allies, a lot of organizations who might be able to help us back home. And these matters, it's better to speak in person, no? Because you feel, you understand, you see me eye to eye, rather than just through the screen. So it's a different conveyance of messages. It's more genuine, it's more true, it's more sincere that we talk in person. And this is my purpose, my role here. It's not that I'm just here for a personal safety, no? For my own personal well-being. No, I'm here for both, for myself and for my people. So I take it as a challenge. I take it as an opportunity to help myself and to help my people more. I am surprised. I'm liking here in Spain, one, for the weather, very much different from what I had in the Netherlands. Second, the people, very warm. I think as Filipinos and as Spanish, we share a lot of commonalities as a people. Maybe it's because the fact that we were once a colony of Spain, so that we share a lot of similarities in our personalities, in our way of life, with the siestas, with the cervezas, with the sociable beings that we are. So that, and on the political point of view, I find it very interesting that when you talk about all these things on human rights defense, on communism, on socialism, it's not a taboo. It's not something that you talk in hushed tones. You talk it freely, no? And this is very liberating for me to see, to experience. Because from back home, we can't talk about these matters in an open cafe like this one. No, we have to go not in a really secret meeting, but somewhere very secure. Because we might have our intelligence officers around, you know, or listening to our conversations, and these are confidential matters, and these are very sensitive matters. But here you talk about it quite freely, and this is very liberating to experience. And I wish that we would somehow have this experience back home, that you'll be able to fight for all these things, for these social justice, no? Basic human rights, without fear of reprisal, without fear of being harassed, without fear of being jailed, without fear of having a warrant of arrest served upon you, without your chance of filing your counter affidavits, without your fear of being gunned down by two men riding in tandem on a motorcycle. So this is the dream, no, of all Filipino human rights defenders, that we live in a society with just and lasting peace for everyone. It's not, we do not wish for wealth. We do not wish for millions of pesos. We do not wish for a grand house. No. These are luxurious things that we might want to have, but these are not over the basic. But we only want the basic, no? For a content and dignified life. And yet we are killed, we are being silenced. What is it? So, but then again, with this experience I have, it makes me want to help more. It makes me realize the significance of the movement at home. Like, hey, our people could live as freely, as satisfying or as content as these people. Why is this not happening in the Philippines? When this is possible. This was possible in Spain. This was possible in many parts of course, there's a lot of other factors to discuss, no? But this is possible. This life is possible. This life was possible for the Spanish. Why is it not possible for the Philippines? So all the more that it drives us to fight. These programs, relocation programs, protection programs, are very much in need now when we see a lot of repression of human rights defenders, not just in the Philippines but around the world. Latin America, Africa, Middle East, no? Around the world, even here in Europe. So these programs are very necessary to provide space and time for human rights defenders to heal, to recuperate, to recharge. But at the same time, it provides us with opportunities to widen our networks, to explore what else, that there are things that can still be done. For example, for us in the Philippines, we have exhausted all the domestic mechanisms. No? We still do. We still fight for whatever it is in the courts that we have, to the Commission on Human Rights, Ombudsman, whatever it is, we go on exploring, we go on activating them. But then it seems that there are not enough. But we see that there is the international community that can somehow help in the domestic mechanisms, domestic action. So this is one of the aspects that this program or similar programs of relocation can provide to human rights defenders. You provide us with the links, with the networks that we can tap, the resources that we can tap to help people back home. As we say, we create a pressure sandwich against the state. So from the ground we work, but from the outside there are also other part of the movement working on an international level to also exert pressure from the state. So it's a pressure sandwich. So it's not, when I went to the Netherlands for first time, for the shelter city, I felt this very huge guilt on my shoulders that I'm leaving my people behind when at the direst of times, when they need one more person to help, no? But then, with wise words of colleagues also, who are also Filipino human rights defenders who are here in Europe, and colleagues from home, from family, saying that, Czarina, don't worry, because the movement is a vast and widespread movement. It doesn't mean that you're not on the ground, that you cannot help anymore. So this is a strategy, like it's an art of war. It's not only that you hit your enemy or you hit your target directly, but you can also hit it on other significant points. No? So while others are hitting it directly, you can help, like if it's in a boxing or in a wrestling game, you hit it in the side, you hit it at the abdomen. It's not always in the face, no? But hitting at the side can also have much impact. So it's a collective action. It's a collective action for all times. So this is a good experience, a wonderful sight to see that in the international arena, we are not alone. So this program, I hope that you could be able to share this and let other human rights defenders at risk to enjoy, experience this wonderful thing, this program, not only for themselves, because it also improves, for example, public speaking or language for me, but it also provides help and assistance to the greater, broader movement that we bring, that we represent here.